There we go. Welcome, everybody. It is time for another episode of our weekly show, Indie Inquiries, here on the Game Wisdom channel, where each week we review Steam store pages and provide critique and advice to make your store page stand out among the crowd. Joining me, as always, my co-host from Nexus Games, Sharky. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing great.
Alright, so we have for this week one new game that was submitted, and we have a resubmission. And for those of you watching this, if you are interested in resubmitting your game for a future show, please get in touch, as we are more than happy to take a look and provide an updated grade for you.
So with that, let's get into the first game.
And we're going to be beginning with Boy Beats World. This was sent to me by the developer, and as always, let's begin with the thumbnail or the title card.
This game is not to be confused with Boy Meets World.
Unless it's the sequel. So, the thumbnail, on one hand, the title is clean, but everything surrounding it is not really helping this thumbnail.
Yeah. The text is clean on the background, but the background itself is just cluttered with a mess of things that are just random stuff. I mean, it looks like you walked into a child's bedroom and then they just took all their toys and exploded them across the floor, or like a tornado. Yeah. There's no structure here. It's just random things thrown all over the ground to fill up empty space.
Yeah.
Rather than provide any kind of direction. I mean, you have the character over here inside this bubble, but the character looks very different here than in the game, and it's also doesn't look the best. And then you have all these other characters around the bubble, which is a little bit of structure here, but
they don't match the aesthetic.
These characters do not match this character, and there's a whole bunch of not matching and things being weird right in this section.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of like Katamari Damacy in terms of like trying to be all like weird and random, but that one had more structure to it than this.
And also that game was weird and random, so if it was a weird and random thumbnail, it would probably fit the game, honestly.
Yeah. So, in terms of suggestions, I think this needs a redesign.
Yeah, I think this needs to go back to scratch, rather. Like, there's nothing, quote-unquote, bad here, but I think that if you took any of this and started with it, you'd probably be getting a bad start.
Yeah.
I think you'd be better off starting over from scratch on this one.
I feel like when we get to the trailer in a minute that shows kind of like an orchestra and, you know, them like going with the music, like I feel like that has a stronger look to it as like from a presentation standpoint than this trailer. Maybe, like, even doing something along those lines, like, making it appear like an orchestra or a show. Or, you know, kind of maybe playing up more of the music angle. Because this doesn't scream music to me, it just screams stuff.
Yeah. So, are we ready to give this a grade before we move on to the trailer?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing it has going for it is that the title is readable. And that may not seem like a huge praise, but I've seen plenty of thumbnails that the title is completely illegible. You can't even make it out.
Yeah, you can't read the title at all. But I think this is a D-.
I think it'll be a little kinder. I think I'll give it a D. Alright. Oh yeah, we did hit that. Yay, thank you everybody for subscribing and licking the smash button and all that.
Oh, nice. Congrats on hitting the 7.5K licks to the subscribe button.
2.5, and I'll go from a Z list to maybe a Z minus list celebrity.
Yeah.
All right, but
Right
let's
now,
get.
I'm like an infinite, you know.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's
I
get to
don't
the
exist.
trailer. Hmm.
So this is not much of a code opening,
Yeah.
or if you could even call that a code opening. It could be made into one,
Yeah.
but not one.
I like the style of like the music being kind of quote unquote, performed by the robots.
Yeah.
At the 20 or so second mark, or I'm sorry, 28-second mark, is we get the big reveal. I feel like the middle of this is good.
Yeah. It lacks on code opening, but it's got a good intro and middle. But no real climax.
And no real call to action at the end.
Nope.
So this would be... I will say it flows nicely.
Yeah, and something I want to be clear on with, like the art in the game is something that could be made to look really good, but as of right now, the colors
And the
and
lack
like
of detail.
the I wouldn't say the lack of detail, but the lack of detail in certain places, like the grass.
Yeah.
Uh-oh,
And we'll
my
probably talk
sound.
more about that in the screenshots. So, as we were talking about during the pre-stream, I like the structure of this kind of being an orchestra. I kind of feel like it could have been played up a little bit better. Like when it opens up, we can hear like a round of applause. Something that kind of like shock the audience awake to this trailer. Uh-oh. Did I lose Shark again?
Am I here?
Yep.
I'm having issues. I got it fixed now.
Oh, goody.
But the trailer glitched out apparently. But one thing about the trailer is I honestly found it more interesting to watch the parts that were not the game are going around the side rather than the game itself because of those aesthetics issues.
Yeah,
I think the stuff around it looked really cool.
Is it my
But that made the game look not so cool,
Is it my imagination, or are the characters on like the sides of periphery more detailed than how they appear in game?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I feel like as we're going to talk about in the next section, there's definitely an issue with the aesthetics of this game. But speaking for the trailer itself, it, as I was saying, like I think like having a round of applause at the beginning and a round of applause at the end would help, but it's also lacking, I think, in terms of like that wow moment that we see like in the final parts of any trailer.
And the first parts of the trailer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's missing the code opening and the climax.
Yeah. I mean, I like the style of this. I like how they went for the whole theater orchestra thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it does help it a little bit. But, like, if you look at the 53-second mark, that's when you're actually fighting a boss.
I wish I could, but mine bugged out. Let me try to refresh the Steam page.
And I feel like that could have been used for the finale. So overall,
Does that boss move?
not really. I think it shoots lasers.
It does shoot lasers, but it doesn't move. So I would honestly pick a different boss, one that's more
Yeah.
threatening, one that actually moves.
Yeah, I don't know if it is a boss fight or not, but there is, it looks like a minecart situation at 58 seconds. That could be a little bit better of like, I almost think like as a finale could be just like a super fast cut of each of the bosses. Could have maybe worked too.
Yeah.
So overall, it's got good parts to it. It's got basic structure, but not the
It,
best.
it's got partial structure.
Yeah.
It's missing the cold opening. It's got the intro. It's got the build up.
Doesn't
It
have an
doesn't have the climax.
or a call to action at the end.
But it has a call to action. It's just a really crap one.
Yeah, you need to mention it again. Are you on Steam? Are you on Humble? Are you on Switch? You need to have at least something because you have to assume that this is going to be on YouTube or being shown somewhere
Twitter,
else.
on this show, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because nobody knows where to get it other
Yeah,
than, the only reason why they would know where to get it is because when we're streaming this,
who's
you can
showing
see
it?
Steam right here up here.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, you can tell that from this UI and everything that this is Steam.
Yeah.
That's the only.
Mm-hmm.
Our stream is a better call to action than your trailer.
And that's not good.
Yeah,
So I think overall, I don't know. I feel like D plus low C range for me. What about you?
I I I think I would go D plus
Mm-hmm.
because like they're missing the two most important part: the cold
Mm-hmm.
opening, which gets the people to watch past the cold opening,
Mm-hmm.
which there isn't one. So like I figure pretty much nobody's going to watch this trailer to begin with because of that. And then there's no climax, so like even those that stay to watch
Mm-hmm.
aren't going to be wowed at the end, and it's like I pass,
Yeah. The
even those
parts.
that give it a chance because they skip the cold opening kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
aren't probably going to give it a chance when there's no climax.
Yeah. Yeah. I think D plus. I think is like where I would fit this. All right. So the
But
screenshots.
I think that this could be made into a very high grade though.
Yeah.
I think you need to work on getting a cold opening, a climax, a a real call to action, not just a date.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And have
and then fix aesthetic issues that run throughout it.
yeah, and that's what we're going to talk about next with the screenshots. So on the positive side, I don't think anything exactly was used from this trailer in the screenshots. The
No,
closest is the fourth screenshot, but that's using a different text.
yeah, but it's the same person, same place,
Yeah.
same conversation. Just says I'm in the trailer,
Yeah.
but it wasn't actually in the trailer. I'm sure it was meant to be in the trailer, but that part got cut out in the editing. It was probably in the trailer to begin with, but got edited out.
So let's talk about the aesthetics of this game. They're going for again like a low detail pixel art kind of look to it,
Which can definitely work.
but I feel like problem one, the color saturation is like very extreme. And it's like, if I stare at this for too long, I can feel it's starting to hurt my eyes. Like the yellow of his hair, as an example, or the neon green on the final screenshot.
I think the problem is they went really saturated on all the color all the characters and really desaturated on all the backgrounds.
Yeah, and there, as we
Well, for the most part, there's some like in that fourth screenshot where they have saturation in the background
yeah,
with the pink. and purple.
Mm-hmm. Like the final screenshot with like you see like the planks, I guess supposed to be representing a bridge, and the brick wall in the background. That is, I think, is a good level of detail for this game. But then when we turn to some of the other ones,
But the colors
it's
are completely off in that.
yeah. And then the other ones, there's just like no like detail. It's just like one solid color.
Yeah, and you know, in the spit screenshot, there's nothing but flat ground here. But if you look back at like the first screenshot, there's little sprouts of grass in places, and
Yeah,
there's
you're
little
right.
bitty marks in the concrete kind of thing.
Yeah.
You need stuff like this throughout the game, not
Yeah.
just in this one area, because like
Mm-hmm.
in like this second area, the second screenshot, there's none of that.
Mm-hmm.
In the third, there's a hair bit of little rocks here and there that you know,
Mm-hmm.
but everything is gray. It's gray the screenshot, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
And
And this is not good.
yeah.
And you look at the fourth, and there's again no detail on the floor except for right here where there's a ton of detail on the little
Mm-hmm.
dance pad or whatever it is.
Yeah. And again, like we go to the trailer and you're looking at like the character models in the corners.
Mm-hmm.
They're cleaner and they're more detailed than what's in the game.
That's because I believe those are vector art,
Mm-hmm.
where this is low, where the rest of the game is actually low res pixel art.
Yeah. And the thing, like as you said, like you can have, very low detailed pixel art, but you have
And
to
have it
make up
work.
for it.
Yeah. And also, if you look at like the first screenshot, there's no shading
Mm-hmm.
on here. There's no shading on the hair. There's no shading on the body. No shading on the face. None of that. There's no shade on any of the characters. You need at least two shades.
Mm-hmm.
You need a primary and a secondary, bare minimum, or else it's not going to look good
Yeah.
as characters. And they need more
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
detail.
to Antonio's comment, yeah, it's not. It is a little hard to tell what is going on. And the About This Game page does explain things more, but it's still. You need to be able to explain the game to the player before they get to the About This Game section.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And I
overall.
think there's definitely an issue with the colors. Like, look at
Mhm.
screenshot 6. That makes your eyes bleed.
Yeah, like the yellow is just way too much.
Yeah, and you can't even see the UI at the top. And like,
Yeah.
it's this mix between saturated, and really unsaturated, and that's
Hmm.
that's not a good mix.
Yeah,
Like,
and
you generally want your art rules, which vary and they depend. Ask a lawyer or an artist. But you generally want your backgrounds less saturated than your foreground stuff,
mhm.
your characters and whatnot. But you don't want a day and night difference. You
Yeah.
don't want to. Be out at midnight and have a strobe light flashed in your eye, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that's what this game is doing.
Hmm.
You want to be, at night with a dim flashlight kind of thing, being shined in your eye or shined towards you,
Hmm.
not in your eye. Or you want daylight with a bright flashlight kind of thing. You don't want this. You
Hmm.
don't want that much of a contrast.
Yeah. So, grade wise, the screenshots are different, and that's kind of makes up the bulk of this grade. But as we've said, the aesthetics do hurt this game.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I'm thinking low B, maybe low to mid B for the screenshots.
I do too, but I think on a separate note, I think the aesthetics are probably a D minus.
Yeah, but we don't grade store pages on aesthetics.
Yeah, but that's something the developer needs to know, that he
Mm-hmm.
definitely needs to fix this, because
Mm-hmm.
this is a very, very important issue.
Yeah.
This is life and death of your game issues kind of here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's affecting it, and it's affecting the store page because it's what we see.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the truth is, while that's not a bad grade kind of thing, when consumers look at it, consumers are going to not like it.
Mm-hmm.
Consumers are going to treat it as a very bad grade kind of thing.
Yeah.
In the consumer eyes, these screenshots are probably an F minus.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah, but
F.
mm-hmm.
But like, we're not judging based off the aesthetics, but they will be.
Yeah. We judge on the
And
structure of the store page. We don't judge on gameplay for the show.
yeah, gameplay or aesthetics.
Yeah.
Aesthetics takes a small role in things, but very, very small.
Yeah, and again, I feel like if this was upgraded to that kind of vector art of the character models and such in the trailer, it would look a lot better.
I don't think they need to do that. I think they just need better looking pixel art, which is, they can do very little to this and make this good looking. They need to, number one, change all the colors and get a usable palette that works well for this game. They need to apply shading to the characters rather than just flat colors. And they need to add more detail to some of these flat sections kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just too much flat color in here, and the colors do not work.
Yep.
It's flat colors that do not work. That's kind of the
Mm-hmm. All right.
the thing.
Okay, let's get to the About This Game section.
Mm-hmm.
So we have custom banner at the top, which is nice.
Yeah, that's a really nice banner.
And actually, you can see like going to the beats.
Mm-hmm.
We have another like smaller GIF right here, another smaller kind of banner.
Yeah.
So they're going for kind of like the narrator talking about the game instead of just being like a, more like corporate speak.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, as you were saying, like there could be some bolded or blue text here, something to kind of give us a little bit more structure.
Yeah, like, well, you ask why, and game info, either that or like another custom banner.
Mm-hmm. Now the first GIF I think is good. It kind of shows off a variety of things, and it shows it is on the longer
side. A little bit
side.
too long.
I think this works just because you're trying to give like a very action thing. It could probably have stopped at the dance part, maybe.
I think this is two different GIFs combined, or GIFs.
Yeah. Let's see, game info, vibes and music. So now we're actually understanding what this game is.
Mm-hmm.
So the second GIF, I think this is a good GIF. The one that shows combine moves create cool combos.
Yeah. But now that I look at it, I think this might be the same GIF as the one above. Just the one above is cropped. If you look at this part where they're fighting the 4 enemies kind of thing, that looks like that's in the yellow section.
Yeah, different enemies, but same sector.
Yeah. But they cropped out the eye bleeding yellow out of it.
Yeah.
For the most part, anyway.
And then the final GIF, liberate towns, learn new moves. I feel like this one is too long.
Too long and too slow.
Yeah. You could probably cut it right where he said when the fox comes down and let that be it. Or cut this into maybe another GIF and, turn it to 2 of them.
Yeah.
So I think
we got some structure here. It's not the right structure. There's also not enough space between these last 2 GIFs.
Mm-hmm. And it starts better than it finishes as a About This Game section.
Mm.
Yeah, maybe like one more line between like each one, the third and the fourth gifts, just to break it up a little bit more.
Hmm. And
I
it'd be nice if we had one or two less lines up here in the well, why you ask, well,
yeah.
section.
I feel like it doesn't end as an about this game section. Like I feel like it needs something, buy the game now, or something maybe witty to end on. Like it just seems like it just like stops.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it needs some of those, but it does need something at the bottom.
Yeah.
It feels abrupt.
Yep. So
What are we thinking for grade wise?
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe like low C, maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking C minus.
Yeah. Like I said, the top is good. It's not great, but it has a custom banner. Just needs more. It needs structure, and then it needs some better organization. I think as we go down the whole page.
Hmm.
All
And of
right.
course, the aesthetics affect the gifs as well.
Yeah. All right. So title card. We have three: action, adventure, indie. I don't know. I
Like,
can't think of anything else it could like fit genre wise. I don't know if there's like a music tag on Steam.
I know there's a music tag, but I don't know if there's a music. I don't think there's a music tag you can use in this area.
Yeah. So developer and publisher are the same. Visit the
Hmm.
website. Does a link to it. It's not the best looking
And
website.
it's a company name too.
Yeah. We have Twitter. The only way to get in touch with this developer is through the press kit on the website. Now I think that may be a few too many steps.
Yeah,
Now there's
and
nothing else.
also it feels like there's n- not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Could use something, like your own Discord.
Yeah.
And also, I think that the Twitter has direct comments or direct messages disabled.
Yeah.
So I would enable that.
Mm-hmm. So again, the basics are here, but it still needs to be touched up. But
Yeah,
this section, you don't need to do a lot to get a high grade. Uh, I'm thinking maybe B minus B. What about you?
I think it could be B minus.
Yeah. So overall, though,
I'd say B, actually.
alright. Overall, we have a lot of low C, high D's, maybe a few D's as well.
Yeah, but the most impactful will be the thumbnail and the trailer.
And that's where I think we give it the lowest scores.
Yep. Leading with your worst foot forward kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Uh,
And we gave what the thumbnail a D something, low D, I
yeah.
think.
I think we gave the
Yeah, D
trailer
minus.
high D, maybe low C.
Yeah,
Uh, I don't know. I feel like DD plus range for the store page. What about you?
yeah, I'm thinking D.
Yeah. I don't feel it deserves lower, but I don't think it does enough to get into the C range.
Yeah, and the real issue is not just the store page, but the aesthetics, which is a
Yeah.
separate thing, not something we necessarily grade on.
Mm-hmm.
They have something here that just a little bit of tweaking can make this, game look
Yeah.
really, really dang good.
And unfortunately, the
But
game is due
as
out tomorrow.
is,
You
it's
can,
not going to cut it.
yeah. And I did like the game. We played this for our Wednesday night stream,
Yeah,
and it
and
is
you've
a
never liked music games.
yeah. So for me to like it is definitely a feather in this game's cap. But I fear that this is going to be another Vision soft reset, a game that I'm going to really enjoy, and most people will never play.
Oh yeah, like unless they fix the art in less than 20 hours and
Mm-hmm.
get it and redo the screenshots and trailers
Mm-hmm.
in less than that 20 hours with the new art, it's not going to go well. And
Yeah.
if they don't get it or they don't delay the game, I would if I was a developer of this game, I would honestly delay the game by at least a few months and get your art fixed, get everything integrated, get into your Steam page and get your Steam page looking good.
And then get that release as strong as it can. Because you don't want to fix issues after launch. Because at that point, it's oftentimes too late to get that bump.
Yeah, the thing is about Steam is whatever your sales is for the first day determines what your sales are for every other day.
Yep.
And,
all right.
You know, if you're CD Projekt Red, you can release a buggy, crappy game and, you know, sell billions of copies.
All right.
But if you're an unknown indie, you can release a really good game that isn't buggy, that just doesn't have the best aesthetics.
Okay.
And
so let's.
You will sell 5 copies.
All right, but
we
are trying to keep these shows on the shorter side, so we need to move on here.